Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to the Honorable Mr. Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of United Nations, the Honorable Mr. Volkan Bozkir, the President of General Assembly of United Nations, the Honorable Mrs. Pamzil Mlambo-Chuka, the Executive Director of UN Women, our honorable speakers, Ms. Emma Watson and Mrs. Anne Hathaway, the UN Women Global Goodwill Ambassador, and respected delegation, distinguished guests, and to everyone in here. First of all, let's say thanks to God, who most gracious, merciful, the creator and sustainer of the universe, who give us guidance and healthy so we can attend and participate in this big event. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Diany Puspita Sari. It's a honor to me to be your master of ceremony on this morning on Sunday, 8 March 2020 in United Nations Big Event, the International Women's Days 2020. And let me introduce you to the agenda schedule of this event. The first agenda is opening. The second agenda is opening remarks by Secretary General of United Nations. The third agenda is a speech from the speakers. And the last agenda is the closing. Leading the United Nations in its work with partners across the globe to promote prosperity, peace, dignity, and opportunity for all is the United Nations Secretary General. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me and welcome to the stage Mr. Antonio Guterres.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I am delighted to be with you to celebrate the activism and transformative power of women and girls. We are at a pivotal moment for women's rights. For decades, women have been calling for the equality that is their right. And today they are shaking the pillars of patriarchy. They are telling their stories and provoking important and necessary conversations. Everywhere, women are saying, the time is now. Time for equality and opportunity, respect and equal representation. Time for an end to violence. Around the world, women and girls are calling out the abusive behavior and discriminatory attitudes that face everywhere and all the time. They are insisting on lasting change. That is what women and girls want, and that is what I want. And it is what every sensible man and boy should want. All around the world, we need to listen to the women and girls who are rightly proclaiming their rights. We must join together as partners, women and girls, men and boys, to make gender equality a reality for all. Our aspirations for a world of peace, prosperity, dignity, and opportunity for all depend on it. So, in this International Women's Day, let us demand gender equality and women's empowerment together. Let us declare loud and clear, the time is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, for your inspiring word. I am now very pleased to welcoming our speaker for today's event. She is a British actor, an advocate for gender equality in her own right. She's been involved in the promotion of girls' education for several years and previously visited Bangladesh and Zambia as part of her humanitarian efforts. Recently returned, as we just heard, from Uruguay on her first mission with UN Women. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage our speakers and the UN Women's Global Goodwill Ambassador, Emma Watson.
Your Excellencies, UN Secretary General, President of the General Assembly, Executive Director of UN Women, and distinguished guests, I was appointed as Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women 6 months ago. And the more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating. If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that this has to stop. We don't often talk about men being imprisoned by gender stereotypes, but I can see that they are, and that when they are free, things will change for women as a natural consequence. If men don't have to be aggressive in order to be accepted, women won't feel compelled to be submissive. If men don't have to control, women won't have to be controlled. Both men and women should feel free to be sensitive. Both men and women should feel free to be strong. It is time that we all perceive gender on a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals. If we stop defining each other by what we are not and start defining ourselves by who we are, we can all be freer. I want men to take up this mantle so that their daughters, sisters, and mothers can be free from prejudice, but also so that their sons have permission to be vulnerable and human too. Reclaim those parts of themselves they abandoned, and in doing so, be a more true and complete version of themselves. You might be thinking, who is this Harry Potter girl? And what is she doing speaking at the UN? And it's a really good question. I've been asking myself the same thing. All I know is that I care about this problem, and I want to make it better. And having seen what I've seen, and given the chance, I feel it is my responsibility to say something. Statesman Edmund Burke said, "All that is needed for the forces of evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing." In my nervousness for this speech, and in my moments of doubt, I've told myself firmly, if not me, who? If not now, when? If you have similar doubts when opportunities are presented to you, I hope that those words will be helpful. Because the reality is that if we do nothing, it will take 75 years, or for me to be nearly 100, before women can expect to be paid the same as men for the same work. 15.5 million girls will be married in the next 16 years as children. And at current rates, it won't be until 2086 before all rural African girls can have a secondary education. I'm inviting you to step forward, to be seen, and to ask yourself, if not me, who? If not now, when? Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Ms. Emma Watson, for the good and inspiring speech. Ms. Emma Watson wants people to have more correct views towards feminism and feminism movement that is not about man-hating, but to fight for women's rights and as the effort to achieve the gender's equality. And now we move to another amazing speaker today. She is an award-winning actor and long-standing supporter of girls' and women's rights. She has worked with the Girl Effect, World of Children, Santa Jude Children's Research Hospital, and is board member of the Lollipop Theatre Network. She dedicated her efforts to raise awareness on the issue of unequal burden of care work in the home and advocate for affordable childcare, service, and shared parental leave. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me and give a warm welcome to the stage the UN Women Global Goodwill Ambassador, Mrs. Hathaway.
Thank you so much for those words. Wow. Um, President of the General Assembly, United Nations, UN Deputy Secretary General, Executive Director, UN Women, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. American women are currently entitled to 12 weeks unpaid leave. American men are entitled to nothing. The deeper into the issue of paid parental leave I go, the clearer I see the connection between persisting barriers to women's full equality and empowerment and the need to redefine and in some cases destigmatize men's roles as caregivers. In other words, thank you. In other words, in order to liberate women, we need to liberate men. The assumption and common practice that women and girls look after the home and the family is a stubborn and very real stereotype that not only discriminates against women, but limits men's participation and connection within the family and society. These limitations have broad-ranging and significant effects for them and for the children. We know this. So why do we continue to undervalue fathers and overburden mothers? Paid parental leave is not about taking days off work. It's about creating the freedom to define roles, to choose how to invest time, and to establish new, positive cycles of behavior. Companies that have offered paid parental leave for employees have reported improved employee retention, reduced absenteeism and training costs, and boosted productivity and morale. Far from not being able to afford to have paid parental leave, it seems we can't afford not to. We need to help each other if we are going to grow. Along with UN Women, I am issuing a call to action for countries, companies, and institutions globally to step up and become champions for paid parental leave. Today, on International Women's Day, I would like to thank all of those who went before in creating our current policies. Let us honor them and build upon what they started by shifting our language and therefore our consciousness away from gender and towards opportunity. Let us honor our own parents' sacrifice by creating a path for a more fair, farther-reaching truth to define all of our lives, especially the lives of our children. We must ask ourselves, how will we be more tomorrow than we are today? The whole world grows when people like you and me take a stand because we know that beyond the idea of how men and women are different, there is a deeper truth, that love is love and parents are parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Anne Hathaway, for incredible speech. Feminism is a family issue. Miss Anne pointed out women needing adequate paid time after birth. Men need also the time in order to create gender parity in the workplace and at home, and the fact that the lack of fair, equal paid parental leave laws around the world a major barrier to women equality. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the International Women's Day 2020, and I would like to express my utmost gratitude to all distinguished members and guests for making this event success. Let us all be guided by all the things that we heard and learned from this event, and be able to see and influence our future. Until we meet again, perhaps in the next UN event, may all of you have a safe journey home. Thank you and Good afternoon.